With the bike powered on, hold down the plus and minus buttons simultaneously to reach the settings menu. Scroll down and press the center button to select the battery lock page, and then press it once again to unlock and eject the battery. Place your hand below the battery to support it. Once the top end of the battery is disengaged, press the handle to release the battery and lift it out of the bike. Unwind the wire loom from the cables. Use a 4mm hex wrench to loosen and remove the headlight pivot bolt. Remove the headlight from the bracket. Use a 2.5mm hex wrench to remove the bolt from the stem cable cover. Remove the cable cover. Remove the stem rubber grommet and then use a 4mm hex wrench to loosen both of the stem clamping bolts. With the bike inverted, use a 4mm hex wrench to loosen and remove the brake lever clamp bolts to remove the brake lever from the handlebar. Carefully disconnect the brake sensor harness from the lever and then slide back the brake hose grommet from the compression bolt. Use an 8mm open-end wrench to loosen the compression bolt. Slide back the compression bolt and remove the hose end from the brake lever. Use your brake hose cutting tool to trim the old barb and olive off the old brake hose. Remove the compression bolt and the hose grommet. Use a 5mm hex wrench to loosen the stem preload bolt until the stem can be released. Remove the stem. Follow up by removing the headset dust cover, compression ring, and the upper headset bearing. Lift the fork and front wheel up and out of the frame. Use a 3mm hex wrench to remove the two bolts that mount the battery lock assembly to the frame. Use a 2.5mm hex wrench to remove the three bolts that attach the cable cover plate within the battery compartment. Remove the cover plate. Use a 3mm hex wrench to remove the two bolts that mount the terminal assembly to the frame. Use a 2.5mm hex wrench to remove the three ACU cover bolts. Remove the cover. Carefully cut and remove the zip ties retaining the rear brake hose to the frame, and then use a 5mm hex wrench to remove the 2 rear brake caliper bolts. Guide the rear brake hose out of the bike. Swap the rear brake assembly. Guide the new brake hose into the ACU compartment through the battery compartment and out of the head tube. Remove the pad spacer from the rear caliper and then reinstall the caliper into the frame using a 5mm hex wrench. Tighten the bolts until they are snug and then back each bolt off about 1 full turn. Replace the zip ties that secure the brake hose to the chainstay of the frame. Trim the excess tie ends flush. Replace the ACU cover plate and install the 3 mounting bolts using a 2.5mm hex wrench. Ensure all 3 bolts are threaded in before final tightening. Guide the upper headset bearing over all of the cables coming from the head tube and press the bearing into place with the chamfered side touching the frame. Reinstall the fork into the head tube, ensuring the lower headset bearing is still in place. Replace the compression ring with the opening containing the cables toward the front of the bike as shown. Install the dust cover onto the head tube. While keeping the cables oriented forward, press the dust cover flush against the head tube of the bike. Note, assembly grease added to the head tube can help retain the bearing during this step. Guide the stem back onto the steerer tube and use a 5mm hex wrench to thread on the stem compression bolt. Continue to tighten the bolt until the stem is fully seated. Ensure the headset is properly preloaded while ensuring there is still good movement in the steering. Use a 5mm hex wrench to remove the plug from the end of the new brake lever. Install the hose grommet, compression bolt, and then olive, as shown. Remove the plug bolt on the end of the hose using a 2mm hex wrench. Carefully insert the brake hose into the lever end while retaining the olive on the end of the hose. While keeping the hose in place, thread in the compression bolt. Tighten until snug with an 8mm open-end wrench. Do not over-tighten. Replace the hose grommet. Position the rear brake lever onto the handlebar and reinstall the 2 lever clamping bolts using a 4mm hex wrench. Return the lever to the desired angle and snug the bolts in place. Reconnect the rear brake sensor harness to the brake lever by aligning the arrows and firmly pressing the cable end onto the sensor. Reinstall the stem cable cover and mounting bolt using a 2.5mm hex wrench. With the cables routed into the headlight bracket as shown, reinstall the headlight and headlight pivot bolt using a 4mm hex wrench. Feed any cables back into the cable cover. Guide the terminal back into the frame and reinstall the mounting bolts using a 3mm hex wrench. Organize the cables and align the cable cover plate to the mounting holes in the battery compartment and reinstall the 3 mounting bolts with a 2.5mm hex wrench. Position the battery lock assembly in place and reinstall the 2 mounting bolts using a 3mm hex wrench. With the bike upright, replace the stem bolt plug and then reinstall the wire loom to the cables coming from the handlebar controls. Align the handlebars with the front wheel and then use a 4mm hex wrench to tighten the stem clamping bolts and alternate between the two while torquing them to 8 to 10 Newton meters. Reinstall the battery by inserting the bottom first and pressing the top to lock it in place. Press and hold the center power button to power on the bike and test for proper function. Be sure to follow the brake bedding in process on our help desk.